I cut off my dad after my wife died because now I finally understand what a terrible father he was. My wife Emma passed away 8 months ago. We have 3 kids together, all under 7 years old. The youngest is only 3. Losing her completely destroyed me and the kids. We've been in therapy every week just trying to survive each day. Emma died suddenly in a car accident. One minute she was here, the next she was gone. We were married for 11 years and I thought we'd grow old together. She was everything to me. After she died, I started thinking a lot about my own mom. She died when I was 5 in a parking lot accident at her work. I don't remember much about her, but I remember my dad completely falling apart afterward. Except falling apart isn't really the right word. 3 months after my mom died, my dad started bringing random women home. I'd wake up in the morning and there'd be some stranger in our kitchen making breakfast. He didn't even try to hide it from me. Then when I was 6, barely a year after mom died, he got engaged to this woman named Lisa. She moved in right away and my dad immediately started telling me to call her mom. I refused every single time. He even tried to get her to legally adopt me without asking me first, like he was just erasing my real mom from existence. Lisa tried so hard to replace my mom. She threw away mom's pictures, redecorated the whole house, and got mad whenever I talked about my mom. My dad would yell at me for living in the past and said I was ruining his marriage by not accepting Lisa. Their marriage was a disaster. They separated 4 times while I was growing up. The whole house was toxic and full of screaming fights. I found out later that Lisa was insecure because she knew my dad still loved my mom. She was trying to erase every trace of her so she could pretend to be the only woman he ever loved. I moved out at 18 and barely spoke to my dad after that. He met my kids a few times over the years, but we weren't close. Lisa never even met them. Then Emma died. I was at the hospital with her parents and my kids, completely numb and broken. We'd only been home for about 10 hours when my dad showed up at my door. I thought he was coming to support me. Instead, he sat down on my couch and said, "I know exactly how you feel, son. Maybe now you'll understand why I did what I did. You can finally cut me some slack for moving on with Lisa." I just stared at him. My wife had been dead for less than half a day. My kids were crying in their rooms, and he wanted to talk about himself. He kept going, said we could talk it out man to man, and that I'd probably laugh about my childish reactions to everything he did when I was a kid. He actually used the words childish reactions about a 5-year-old losing his mother. I told him to get out of my house. He looked shocked, but he left. Then he started texting me constantly asking when I was going to come around and understand him better. I ignored him for weeks. When I finally responded, he brought it up again. I told him I understood perfectly now. I understood that he was a selfish father who chose his own needs over his grieving child. I told him I never wanted to hear from him about this again. He didn't listen. A few months later, he called and started talking about how, as men, we have sexual needs, and that's why he moved on so fast after mom died. Like I should understand because I lost Emma. The thought made me sick. I haven't even looked at another woman. The idea of bringing someone around my kids and telling them to call her mom makes me want to throw up. Emma will always be their mother. Always. No one could ever replace her. I told him to leave me alone and hung up. He kept calling, so I blocked his number. Now his friends are messaging me saying I'm being too hard on him and that grief makes people act in different ways. But this isn't about grief. This is about him trying to use my worst moment to make himself feel better about being a terrible dad. I don't know if I'll ever unblock him.